Alice here with a fresh dose of nightshade that'll make you sick. That's every show, every shit show. Oh boy, we have a lot to cover. This is our last show for like 10 days. We come back that Tuesday, September, 2nd or whatever. I am ready to, you could call me Jane Weedland, I am ready to go.
Wait, did you not see the lower third?
Is ready to go.
Oh, I thought you just said that off the top of your head.
No. Jane Weedland was one of the Go-Go's. I've actually interacted with her on Twitter. Belinda follows me. That was a big get, and I'm scared to look. She still follows me. Ooh, I'm a big fan of them. Jay Inslee, governor of Washington, loser, has dropped out of the presidential race, even though he had made it the criteria for the third debate, which a lot of people are struggling to make, which I can talk about in a second. He announced his departure on Rachel Maddow's show, and let's listen to this loser.
You are here tonight to make some news.
I am. Listen, this show has been so good to me. This is sort of the bookends of my campaign. We started saying that climate change had to be the #1 job of the United States. I felt very good saying that the first days of my campaign. I feel very good saying that now. And the reason is this has just become more urgent. 1 billion tons of ice melted in Greenland the other day. But we also have had so many people I've met who are inspiring, who want...
Look at that blowjob face. Keep that. Screen cap that. Why would ice be melting in August? Doesn't make any sense. You know, they throw out these numbers and facts without any context, and you're supposed to freak out. There was this great, I think it was National Geographic, probably National Geographic, documentary series, not The Matrix, which they are making a fourth one. And it was about the Arctic. And I think it was 4 episodes, and each episode was a different season. And it's fascinating, and you have to deal with this, for example, if you have certain species of plants, because you got to shift them from season to season, because their life cycle is different every season. And the show just showed, like, all right, you got like 3 months of winter where there's no sunlight and like hell on earth, it's frozen over. And like, how do these creatures make that transition? And one of the things they talk about, which I did not know, but which you would think I would know if the press were not dedicated to their corporatist agenda, is that huge, and which makes sense once you point it out, huge amounts of ice in the North Pole, South Pole, Antarctica, melt every year, and then they refreeze. And they melt, and they refreeze. Seems obvious, right? I didn't realize this because it's 24/7 sunlight. It's warm. It's clearly above 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the only way to measure temperature. So when he says Greenland, 1 billion tons of ice just melted, we talked about Greenland. We're going to talk about later in the show. The surface area of Greenland is gigantic. Is that a lot? Is that a little? Is that normal? Is that abnormal? No idea. If he had said 1 billion tons melted in Greenland. Last year, it was 500 million, or it's normally 100,000. That's something. You have a number. This is why it is such BS when it comes out of their mouths. Oof, bad choice of words, and that was not intentional. Okay, watch more of this idiot.
Us to act, who've helped me. We had 130,000 people help me in this campaign. But it's become clear that I'm not going to be carrying the ball. I'm not going to be the president, so I'm withdrawing tonight from the race. But I have to tell you, look, I've been fighting climate change for 25 years, and I've never been so confident of the ability of America now to reach critical mass.
Wait. Fucker, if you've been fighting it for 25 years and 1 billion tons just melted in Greenland, either you're making it worse or you're not making much of a difference. If it's the number, if you've been fighting it for 25 years, and it is per your, again with the, was that a coincidence that it's paused there?
No, that's a screenshot.
Okay, good. Okay, I thought it was like, again, it's like you keep hitting it. It's like a, if
this pause is pretty good too.
Yeah. like it's like a pug with the underbite. I guess a Frenchie or Shih Tzus have those underbites. Anyway, if this has been your 25 years, and now it's the #1 issue. What good are you? What good are you? Can you imagine like having an oncologist who's been fighting cancer, and now it's like you're about to go? It's like, was the alternative? It sounds like the alternative could have been better, probably. I'm sure it could be dead. Okay, let's watch the rest of this. Oh, God.
To move the ball. I believe we are going to have a candidate to fight this battle. I'm inspired of the people I've met across the country, the young people in the Sunrise Movement and the climate strikers. These people have given me confidence we can move ahead. So I'm not going to be carrying the ball, but we're going to make sure somebody is.
Okay, that's great stuff.
They
That's great stuff there, Jay. Of course, because the vast majority of politicians are complete power-hungry sociopaths, he is going to run for re-election as governor of Washington. And John Hickenlooper, who is the former governor of Colorado, who had also recently dropped out of the presidential race, has declared today that he will be running for the Senate seat in Colorado. So it's not about climate change. It's not about whatever it was. It's always about power, 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 power. Awful, awful people. Speaking of awful people, that's an expression I might not be able to use much longer. Listen to what's going on in San Francisco. San Francisco has introduced new language in order to refer to criminals, getting rid of words like offender and addict, and changing convicted felon to justice-involved person. I remember when bad comedians... Is Anthony a felon? I know there's a mugshot.
I don't know.
I didn't know if that was going to be... I couldn't use that as a punchline. Okay. I remember when like this stuff started happening, like these euphemisms, and really bad comedians would be like, oh, he's not short, he's vertically challenged. And I'd be like, why does everyone keep calling me that every day? And it was a joke, because it was an example of how absurd and farcical certain aspects of our discourse are. And the thing is, because of the nature of progressivism, what is a joke in, let's say, 2002 is about to become the law in 2019. It will never be enough. So the Board of Supervisors adopted justice-involved person instead of convicted felon. Convicted felon. Justice-involved person. A justice-involved person is Superman. The Board of Supervisors adopted the changes last month as the city reels from one of the highest crime rates in the country and staggering inequality given the pervasive homelessness alongside Silicon Valley wealth. The local officials say this new language will help change people's views about those who commit crimes. Yeah, because you won't be aware that they've done it. Oh, I have a friend coming over. What's his background? Oh, he's involved in justice. Oh, that sounds cool. He's a cop. Not in my house. Good Lord. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, from now on, a convicted felon or an offender released from custody will be known as a formerly incarcerated person, or a justice-involved person, or just a returning resident.
September 3rd, we'll all be returning residents.
Yeah, well, 2 of the 3 of us. Juvenile delinquent will now be called a young person with justice system involvement. This is why it's so disingenuous, because when you say someone is involved with domestic violence, that applies equally to the spouse getting hit and the spouse doing the hitting. Involved does not have any element of culpability. Or they also say the other euphemism is young person impacted by the juvenile justice system. Drug addicts or substance abusers will be person with a history of substance abuse. That makes more sense, because someone who uses drugs for a long time might not actually be an addict. They could be a use. I was on Red Eye on Fox, and there was some joke about drug abusers. And I just made the comment, I go, why do they have to be abusers? Maybe they're just users. Maybe they just really like it. They said, we don't want people to be forever labeled for the worst things that they have done. Fair. They're not rapists. They're person involved with sexual activity. We want them this is from the supervisor, Matt Haney. We want them ultimately to become contributing citizens, and referring to them as felons is like a scarlet letter that they can never get away from. The newspaper noted an individual whose car had been broken into could well be known to police as, let me get this all out one take, a person who has come in contact with a returning resident who was involved with the justice system and who is currently under supervision with a history of substance abuse. I think they're referring to when Brittany smashed up the car with her umbrella. That sure sounds like a description of her. They didn't say if she was 300 pounds, though. So that's what's going on in San Francisco. And one of the things I talk about in Dear Reader, the North Korea book, is how the language between North and South Korea shifted over generations. And when Kim Jong-il met the South Korean president, he could only understand a certain percentage of what he was. Yeah, these are go-go songs, yeah. A certain percentage of what the other guy was saying, the president of South Korea at the time. And now we're increasingly seeing this between, at the very least, right and left wing, as people use different words for the same thing. And as that, when I talk about making discourse impossible in terms of not trusting one another and regarding each side as operating in bad faith, it also works in the function of literal verbiage. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing for me as an anarchist. Okay. We're going to talk about something that is not very beautiful. Oh, God, I don't even want to watch this video. We're going to pause this video, keep it on hold. Number 3, these braying yentas, I think it was on CNN or MSNBC about Trump, and it's just so just vile and repellent. So we're going to go on to this story. Okay. I'm a troll. You guys know I'm a troll. If you call me a troll on Twitter, I'll block you. That's fine. I feel like I'm being trolled with this whole Greenland story. Because every step of it, part of trolling, as you guys know, hopefully by now, is you have to have the straight face. And you have to have complete insane, like the best trolling is when something is completely crazy and it's with a straight face, and then other people react with a straight face, and then it's like, what's going on? So when I'll start talking about how Hitler built the Berlin Wall in his book Mein Kampf, which means mine wall, and other people are like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And you come into this, you're like, oh, how is this happening? That's what's going on with Greenland, but this is real. So Tom Cotton, who is a congressman from Arkansas, senator, he told Talk Business and Politics, which is an Arkansas business news website, that he's the one who gave the idea to Trump about buying Greenland, and he actually met with the Danish ambassador about the possibility of a sale. Why is a senator negotiating? Seward's Folly was a nickname for Alaska. Seward was Secretary of State, or whatever, I think it was Secretary of State at the time. He bought it from Russia. It was regarded as a huge waste of money. Prove him wrong. And they called it Seward's Folly for a very long time. He was Secretary of State. He's a diplomat. This is a senator from Arkansas. You represent Arkansas. So yesterday in Little Rock, at the Talk Business and Politics Power Lunch, yeah, real power in that room, Cotton responded to a question about Greenland by saying a purchase of the Danish territory was, this is the quote, this is the quote. He said the purchase was, quote, obviously the right decision for this country. It wouldn't be hard to persuade me that it would be a good thing if we owned Greenland. Like, I don't know much about Greenland. I could easily be convinced, I'm sure. The idea that it's obviously the right decision for this country is insane. Oh, I'm not shaven, that's why. I'll tell you why in a minute. He said, I can reveal to you that several months ago, I met with the Danish ambassador and I proposed that they sell Greenland to us. Can you imagine meeting with a senator? Oh, I'm an ambassador, I'm a diplomat. And they're like, so, yeah, good to meet you. So here's the thing. We want to buy Greenland, which is like 98% of the property you have dominion over. And they're like, this is like a cocktail party, like meet and greet? Yeah, that's great. So who are you? You're Secretary of State? Oh, no. I'm the junior senator from Arkansas. I don't know what Arkansas is. I'm from Denmark. Isn't it Arkansas? So Politico reported yesterday that the conversation between the Danish ambassador and Cotton took place in August 2018. They've been talking about this for a year. Cotton said, I told the president you should buy it. And he said Trump heard that from me and from some other people as well. He said that buying Greenland has economic potential and could be I can't do this. It could. I'm not making this. Can you validate that I'm not making this up?
Yeah, I'm reading it along with you, and it's ridiculous.
It says it has economic potential, which I'm sure is true. They must have natural resources, gigantic. You can mine something, anything. Could be vital to our national security. Who is going to be using Greenland as a beachhead to attack us? Iceland? Denmark? The Swedes? Who needs... It's not Canada. They're right there. They don't need to go to Greenland to attack us. Vital to our national security. Vital. We can't not have Greenland. And also the idea that Denmark is going to let, like, the Taliban set up, like jihadi training camps in Greenland. And be like, well, you know, we're for open borders, so jihadis can... And they're going to fly planes from Greenland into, like, the Empire State Building. What? And, this... I can't do this. You know what else he says? Tom Cotton, congressman from Arkansas. Can you look up if he's the junior senator? If you just go to his Wikipedia, it'll say junior or senior. I think he's the junior. He said that it could be vital to our national security. Anyone who can't see that is blinded by Trump derangement. So, idiots, if you don't understand how Greenland could be vital comes from the Latin, like, vitus, meaning life, essential.
Yeah, he is a junior.
Junior senator from Arkansas. Okay. Anyone who can't see that America buying Greenland could be vital to our national security is blinded by Trump derangement. Fuck. Okay, moving on. We're ending this week on a great note. All right. There's been a lot bubbling on. One of the things that was really kind of funny is Trump has broken a lot of his promises. He said he was going to audit the Fed via executive order. That never happened. He was going to build a wall. Maybe that's still happening. Who knows? Blah, blah. He said we were going to get sick of winning. That bridge has not been crossed over yet. One of the things one of the few candidates on stage he was against was defunding Planned Parenthood. He defended Planned Parenthood during the debates in front of a Republican crowd. He goes, look, they do a lot of good work. They do women's reproductive health outside of abortion. We shouldn't defund them. So there's been controversy going on what just happened. They passed a new rule on Monday, and I wanted to let you guys know about it because this is kind of interesting what they've done. So on Monday, they passed a new administration rule on Title X, and the news broke of the rule's intention to bar any reproductive health clinic, meaning an abortion clinic, from receiving federal money from performing or referring patients for abortion services. So the rule drew strong condemnation from Democratic politicians who see it as an attack on women's rights, and has drawn praise from his anti-abortion base, which has long rallied behind the defund Planned Parenthood slogan. My understanding is Planned Parenthood does this accounting thing where the money going for abortion and the money going for anything else are kept very, very separate. But I could be talking out of my ass. But that was my understanding. I talked to someone who used to work there, but don't quote me on that. So this past Monday, had been the deadline for recipients to submit statements saying they would comply with these new regulations. Now, this final rule, it was announced in February 2019, is meant to ensure, quote, that taxpayers do not indirectly fund abortions. And this includes both performing abortions and providing referrals to clinics and doctors that do. That's very odd that not odd, but like if something is legally allowed, i.e. an abortion, and I can see you could be like, okay, you can't use any government money because you're taking money from pro-life people to what they regard as baby murder. But the idea that you could be like, well, I'm not allowed to tell you where to go get one. It's like, really? While federal funding has always been prohibited to go toward abortion itself, what's new about this rule this rule is that the facility that performs the procedure at all or performs referrals for it is no longer eligible for funding. It does not restrict recipients of funding from providing non-directive counseling to patients on pregnancy and abortion. And it lifts a prior requirement that recipients offer abortion counseling and give referrals, opening the door for some religious organizations who are opposed to abortion to receive grants. Now, Republicans applauded this. Steve Scalise, the congressman from Louisiana who was shot not that long ago, says Planned Parenthood is in the business of abortion, not health care. And Steve Duncan, congressman from South Carolina, said they killed that baby. He said in a tweet, "This shouldn't be controversial. Glad to have Trump who fights for the unborn." That's a cute baby. That's sweet. In China, they would have drowned it. Mitch McConnell, Cocaine Mitch, indicated support for the rule back in February and affirmed his commitment to pro-life values. And Iowa Senator Joni Ernst also released a joint statement with other Republican leaders supporting the rule last year. We don't have a picture of Joni Ernst because I forgot to boldface her name when I sent forth this article, so this is on me. Wait, that would have been a good moment for that quote. Okay, anyway, Democrats and some moderate Republicans have reacted strongly against what they call a gag rule. Yeah, Adam Schiff, who always looks like a tool, there he is, tweeted on Tuesday that this is the latest front in the war on healthcare. And Nancy Pelosi, by the way, I had a poll. I said, which of these makes you cringe the most? Bummer, Demon Rat for Democrat, Rethuglican, or Trump, where the R is capitalized, like rump. The worst one to me, when people, they all make me cringe. It's like, and Hillary is another one I didn't put in the list. The worst one to me is when they call her Pelosi. Peelosi. It's like, really? Really? Pelosi said the House has passed legislation to block the Trump rule, and the Senate must do the same. Kamala Harris said she'll undo this rule. I forgot we had that. Yes. On her first day in office if elected. And Joe Biden also looked ahead to a potential presidency in his response. More than 20 states, along with different organizations, including Planned Parenthood, have already filed challenges to the rule in court. Okay, we're going to go watch that video now because that's going to get me all riled up. So one of my little catchphrases that I started using on Twitter is whenever you see some really wretched journalist have some stupid article, like the quintessential example, this wasn't an article, this is on a show, with C-SPAN having a piece about Trump has 2 scoops of ice cream while everyone else has 1. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, really? Like, there isn't enough crap to talk about with Donald Trump? Like the ice cream? Like, it's also the idea that he has 2 scoops. Like, everyone else was precluded from getting a second scoop. Like, the president walks in to Baskin Robbins, not Ben & Jerry's, that's for sure, and with his people, and like, who wants what ice cream? Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have 1 scoop of strawberry and 1 scoop of vanilla. Oh, no, you're not. I'm the president. You got to pick one. Okay. What? That's not what happened. That's so, and you see it also with these pundits. And so my quote I always put is, these are the people who regard themselves as your betters. These people who think like, I'm a journalist and you idiots in whatever, blah, 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 blah. I'm important. People care about my opinions. Trust me, I know I'm being ironic here. And then sometimes you see them on TV and it's not their point of view is inaccurate or controversial or particularly crazy. It's that their affect is so, and I'm like, you are cracking yourself up, but you're not being funny. You're just being smarmy. And that is such a repellent quality. And how hard is it to make Trump funny? It's not hard. I do it all the time. He does it all the time. So you watch this clip and you're like, God, you're like lizard people. Okay, let's play this.
But he is pretty consistent in one area, and that is praising himself. So let's listen to this.
No president has ever done anywhere close to what I've done. I have been responsible for a lot of great things. I'm wonderful for the USA. I am the least racist person ever to serve in office. The love for me, and me maybe as a representative of the country, but for me, I was right, and just about everybody admits that. I was put here by people to do a great job.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. No president has done what I've done. I am the chosen one.
I am the chosen one, he says, and that comes
Hold on.
after
Okay, stop. Okay. How the hell do you look at a minute of this blowhard just talking out of his ass, clearly talking out of his ass? You're all in New York, you fuckers. I mean, even just the voice. And you sit there and you're like, this is terrible. This is just terrible. Like, what? What? Oh my God, if I was president, I would never talk like that. And you never will be, because you're ugly. Here. Let's just watch their affect. And look at April Ryan on the monitor in the upper right. Look at her. I guess you can put lipstick on a pig. Okay.
the president retweeted a conspiracy theorist radio host who said that he is like the second coming. So what do you make of all this?
Okay. Retweeting someone who says he's the second coming, impeach. He's just like Hitler. Let's have a half-hour discussion about how he's like Hitler, who is the only dictator I've ever heard of, apparently. So, second coming, all these God-fearing people on that stage. Hitler, we have concentration camps on the border. He's going to put, remember when he was elected, they said he was going to have transgender people put into camps? I remember. Pepperidge Farms remembers. Oh, well, he retweeted a conspiracy theorist radio host who apparently doesn't have a name. You know what's a conspiracy theory? When you mention someone who you know who you're talking about and you don't mention their name. That's kind of weird. He retweeted someone. You know, when you repeat what someone says, that means you agree with them. So they agree he's the chosen one because they just retweeted him saying it, right? Okay, watch some more of this. Hold on. You know, look at those teeth. Okay, I'm just going to cut this after this. Look at this. Oh, my God. They're shaking. I can't believe this. It's been 4 years of this shit. 4 years. You're still telling me you're all shocked? Are you learning disabled? Literally, learning disabled means you're sitting there and after 4 years of having the same information, you're still like, I've never seen this before. This is unprecedented and shocking. All right, I've enough of this. I'm going to end this on a sad note. Okay, because, I have a platform and I'm going to get a little personal, but whatever. So my friend Erik Dixon, he's the one who used to take all my TV appearances and put them on YouTube. I've known him. We have a picture of him when I was an intern with him at the Cato Institute. The other one, the Cato one. That's him at the left. That's me second from the middle. And I've known him since '97. I took a photo journal of when I was a Cato intern of different people in different places. The next one is a staged photo of Erik pretending to fall asleep outside of David Bose's office. So go back to that nice picture. So he passed away yesterday, and it really fucking sucks. And I went through this kind of clip earlier in the day and I couldn't keep it together. Now I'm glad I can keep it together. The thing that's cool about Erik, and I'm going to say why it's because you shouldn't care about him. You don't know. I mean, you could care to a point, but you don't know him. My friend James was like, he's like the happiest person I know. He's like a real good pal. Like if you want to go to the movies, you want to go to the whatever, like he will come with you and have a good talk. He talked good shit. I mean, he was very, very kind. He's one of those people, the only one, because he grew up Mormon, where I felt weird cursing around him. And he's like, yeah, I get that a lot. He later came out as atheist. He worked for the Libertarian Party, although he was an anarchist. And I think it's just two things why I'm bringing this up. A lot of times we'll think of someone who we're friends with and it's like, you know what? I haven't thought about this person in a long time. I haven't heard of them in a long time. Now you have an excuse to reach out. You could be like, I watched this show on Compound Rehab with this guy. He's probably a fag. I think he's a fag. He's probably a fag. Look how he dresses. Probably a fag. Definitely has autism. And, he brought up that his friend passed away. So I thought I'd drop you a line. And I've had that happen with me before. People you haven't heard from in a long time. They just drop you a line. They check in. And it's always fun. It makes you feel good. It makes them feel good. So now you have an excuse to reach out to someone who you haven't reached out to a long time, and it won't be that weird. And I think my buddy on Twitter, a podcaster, I don't want to mention their name, their dad passed, and I was like, just share a memory, because it's a way to kind of keep them grounded in reality. I'm going to be gone someday, and no one's going to be watching this shit show, but it's still, it has an air of permanence. So I went back and I looked. This is a funny little story about Erik that I thought I'd share. This is from May 27, 2007. And I had written, "This is literally the best voicemail I have ever gotten." And he had left me a voicemail, and he goes, "Hi, it's Erik. Got your message." He goes, "Yeah, I had dinner with James and his sister on Friday night. I mentioned in passing how you were doing and what you were up to, working on the Matt Hughes book. And this strange," the UFC fighter, for those of you who don't know, "and this strange look came over James's face, which later on I realized is the look of synapses burning out in his mind." I knew James through Cato as well. "It turns out that this is all James does in his spare time, follow mixed martial arts stuff, and he knows all about Matt Hughes. It was crazy. It was all we talked about for like 3 hours. I know absolutely nothing about this stuff. So it was an odd conversation." So yeah, you know what? I'm glad I'm leaving happy. He was a really fun, happy person. I never had an argument with him, anything like that. If you want to call someone now, you have a reason to. If not, that's cool too. It's just the older you get, people start dropping, and it sucks. So yeah, I thought I'd leave this on a happy note, or I'm happy that I know him. He's a good guy, like a real good guy. And I don't say that about most people because it's not true. We'll be back here that Tuesday. Until then, I wish you sweet dreams.